That's a good question. I
I can
want
tell you what
yeah.
mine would be.
Yeah, I wanna hear what yours would be.
The Happy Place callback.
Oh, yeah. They gotta do the happy plates.
Yeah, where the guy's, like, riding the thing,
Uh,
and then she's
yeah.
got 2 pitchers of beer and she's wearing lingerie, and then, like, the
I
grandma remember the grandma was, like, making out with Shooter McGavin or something?
with the Gene Simmons mask on? Remember she had the kiss mask?
Oh my god, it's so weird.
Absolutely, yeah, and then the little person with the chaps. Uh,
I That is one of the movies that I do quote from time to time, just growing
yeah.
up with that movie. It was one of, like, mine and my sister's favorite I think my dad loves it because he loves golf,
It's still so
but,
good.
I say all the time, what do I say? I say, like, "My fingers hurt." "Well, your back's gonna hurt because you just pulled landscaping duty." It's so funny.
Well, good for oh my god! Lacey, can you believe that South Park has been on the air for almost 30 years?
Yes, 'cause when did it start? 95?
Like 97?
97 is when it started? Okay. It's almost as old as my life.
Isn't that kinda crazy?
That is bananas.
Yeah, and it's coming back, and we'll talk about that at the top here. But welcome everybody to Nerdy and Nice. Mondays are for the nerds, and you're here to talk to us, with us, about what's going on in all the nerdy things we love in movies, TV, pop culture, entertainment, all of it right here. So thanks for joining us. If you're just checking out the show for the first time, this is our third episode. We are a part of TRB. We also have the Resistance broadcast, which is our Star Wars podcast, which comes out while we do live Thursday nights and hits podcast feeds on Fridays. And then we have this show here, Nerdy and Nice, which is on its own podcast feed. So if you haven't yet, please subscribe. Find us. Just look up Nerdy and Nice on your favorite podcast app and subscribe. And if it has a rating system and you don't mind, rate us 5 stars. We appreciate that. And spread the word if you're enjoying the show. And of course, Lacey, we want to hear their feedback on what we're talking about, things they want us to talk about,
Yeah,
all
what
that
you
good
think?
stuff.
We love
But
hearing back from you guys.
so Lacey, we're gonna talk later in the show about what we're watching. We're also gonna react to some trailers, like a lot of trailers. We're gonna talk about Only Murders in the Building, Megalopolis. We'll see how many times we pronounce that correctly.
Megaflopolis. Am I
Could
right?
be. You're cordially invited. House of the Dragon season 2, Wicked, Dune as a prequel. So a lot of trailers, but we have a lot of news to get into as well. And I just wanted to start off at the top because I'm a big South Park fan, big Trey Parker
Mhm.
fan. South Park is coming back, and it's coming back on Thursday.
May 24th.
Yeah, usually South
Mhm.
Park used to be Wednesdays.
Friday.
Friday?
Mhm.
Yeah, you're right. Friday, May 24th. So South Park is back, and they're gonna tackle the whole like Ozempic thing that's like running wild right now.
Where everyone's like, "I'm not taking it. I'm taking something else." And it's like, "Okay, so you're taking store brand Ozempic."
Yeah,
Got it.
yeah, yeah. I may do a shot of Ozempic, just like one shot.
I think my understanding is you become very dependent on it, so I don't think you wanna do that.
I just one. Like I want to drop a few, just one little.
Go for a walk?
Go for a walk after because the needle hurts. I get you. All right.
No, don't do
Uh,
that.
oh, all right. Let's, Lacey. Why don't we get into our first segment of the day?
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Enough, I get the point.
All right, guys, let's get to what's happening in pop culture. This is everything that we think is big news this week in movies and television. Kicking it off is something that's very surprising to me. I didn't think this was ever going to happen. Is Happy Gilmore 2 is officially
Yes.
announced at Netflix. Adam Sandler has been making movies for a while for Netflix, as we all know. One of my favorite little tidbits about that is that he decided to make movies in locations that he wanted to go on vacation with his friends. So he
Mhm.
would like when he went to like Morocco or wherever it was in France for that one movie, the dinner party movie, It was because he wanted to go there with his friends, and then Netflix had to foot the bill. That's his plan.
And his
I
friend happened to be
still
Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah, I still don't understand. What is it? Hubie Halloween? Still don't get that movie
Really?
at all.
I feel like that's right up your alley.
The worst movie I've ever seen. One of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Don't you
And
like a movie called Halloween Town that's probably way worse than Hubie Halloween?
No, Halloween Town is a classic. How dare you? Debbie Reynolds is in that movie. You shut your mouth. Hubie
Debbie Reynolds.
Halloween is trash. And I'm pretty sure that the rumor around it is that when he didn't get nominated for the Oscar for whatever that other movie he did was a
Uncut
Gemstone,
Gems.
Uncut Gems, he would do a crappy movie, and that was the crappy movie he chose.
I thought it was stupid, but I had fun watching it.
Oh, the worst. Anyway, back to what's good is the 1996 golf comedy, Happy Gilmore.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best movies ever.
Yeah.
Really kind of launched Adam Sandler into stardom and being one of the best comedians of the decade, as said by Variety, but I also believe it. They are announcing a Happy Gilmore 2. And Adam Sandler is set to return to play his character, Happy Gilmore. Now, this makes me a little sad because Carl Weathers is no longer with us. I would have loved to see a Chubbs cameo. But
Like a Chubbs ghost?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like, way to do it, Happy.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But Christopher McDonald, who played Shooter McGavin, supposedly said that he would do it if it happened, and that Adam Sandler showed him a script a while ago, and he was like, oh my gosh, and he kind of like let it slip on a podcast that it was happening, but now it's officially happening. So all of that information, John, what are your thoughts?
So I was, you mentioned Carl Weathers died, but I mean, Happy Gilmore was almost 30 years ago now.
Yeah.
And Richard Keel's gone, who played Mr. Larson. People probably know him from as being Jaws in the Timothy Roger Moore James Bond movies. Bob Barker just died. Joe Flaherty, the comedian, died, who was the "You Suck, You Jackass" guy.
Norm Macdonald.
I don't think Norm is in Happy Gilmore.
I thought he is in Happy Gilmore.
He's in Billy Madison.
Oh, Billy Madison. That's
But
right.
he is dead. So thank
I
you for
know.
reminding me.
I'm
that Norm
sorry.
is dead.
I didn't.
Poor Norm. And Grandma Frances Bay, obviously not with us because she was 112 when they filmed Happy Gilmore. So she's 140 something today. No, she would be 105 today if she was still around. She actually lived to be 92. Good for her. She was great. So it's gonna definitely be a different movie, but I hope, a lot of times when a comedy movie has a romance in it, when they do a sequel, it's just like, oh, that didn't work out.
I hate that. I hope Julie Bowen is coming back.
That's what I mean. Yeah, because like they did that with Ted. They do that even with like Batman. They got rid of Vicky Vale. Quite often, they Austin Powers did it famously. Of course, they always do that.
It's kind of like the James Bond model. Like you ditch the girl for the next movie.
Yeah, that for sure. Yeah, but Julie Bowen, I agree. I hope she does return. That'd be cool. Virginia Bennett.
She looks the same.
She looks
that woman
good.
didn't. That woman did not age. Yeah,
she does look good. But it's funny. This has been going on for a long time between Christopher McDonald and Adam Sandler. And Christopher McDonald, to me, made Happy Gilmore what it is because he is. He has to be. I know, like people do the whole hyperbole thing where it's everything's the greatest and stuff. He has to be. I'll just be safe and say a top 5 comedy villain of all time. Like he's got to be up there with like the Newmans of Seinfeld. Like he's such a hateable bad guy, and in a comedy. Like obviously there's been serious villains that he won't be on that chart, but for comedy villains, Shooter McGavin is so good. Like he's my favorite part of the movie, honestly. Like when he has those manic episodes when he's like, "I'm gonna punt," like I just. I love it. I eat that up. And apparently a lot of his stuff was improv. And there was one shot at the end of the movie where he made a bet with the guys. He's like, let me actually make this one without cuts. It's a 30-foot putt. And they bet that he wouldn't do it. And he does it. So that scene at the end where he goes choke on that baby. He's winning money from the crew who bet that he wouldn't do it. So he's definitely coming back, because I don't know if you remember during the remember back in the day during the pandemic, but celebrities would post these videos to like cheer people up, and I think Christopher McDonald started it by putting a glass at the end of the room, and he putt into it from across the room,
Mhm.
and he's like challenging Adam Sandler, and then Adam Sandler did the Happy Gilmore thing on an actual golf tee, and he's
Mhm.
like, I haven't done this in like 20 years, but we're gonna give it a shot. And he did the whole Happy Gilmore approach, and he said, I'm not kidding you, I absolutely creamed it right down the middle. And he's like, you dead, shooter. So they've been doing this back and forth for years now. So I had
Well,
like,
that's why I showed him the script.
yeah, so I had this glimmer of hope, because Adam Sandler doesn't usually do sequels to his like big comedies. He just moves
Yeah.
on. There's been no Wedding Singer 2, Billy Madison 2, Big Daddy 2. He did Grown Ups 2, but that was more of this ensemble thing, like you were saying. Let's hang out
I
with my
didn't like Big
buddies.
Daddy.
I like Big Daddy, I gotta say.
Mm.
But anyway, I know I'm rambling a little bit, but I'm so excited about this because I'd always had this like little glimmer of hope that they would bring like an older Happy back and see how he would do. And I always thought it was his best movie because Judd Apatow got involved with helping ghostwrite it, and he didn't even get credited for it actually. But I had this hope, and now that they're bringing it back, I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I hope it's not. I hope it's not what a lot of the comedy sequels have been doing lately, which is way too many direct callbacks, that type of thing. Like Ghostbusters suffer from that. Dumb and Dumber 2, I felt like
What
was bad.
callback would you be okay with?
Um, that's a good question. I
I can
want,
tell you what
yeah,
mine would be.
yeah, I want to hear what yours would be.
The Happy Place callback.
Oh yeah, they got to do the Happy Place.
Yeah, where the guy's like riding the thing, and then she's
Yeah,
got 2 pitchers of beer and she's wearing lingerie. And then like the
I
grandma, remember the grandma was like making out with Shooter McGavin or something?
with the Gene Simmons mask on. Remember she had the kiss mask.
Oh my god, it's so weird.
Absolutely, yeah. And then the little person with the chaps. Uh,
I That is one of the movies that I do quote from time to time, just growing
yeah,
up with that movie. It was one of, like, mine and my sister's favorite I think my dad loves it because he loves golf,
it's still so
but,
good.
I say all the time, what do I say? I say, like, "My fingers hurt." "Well, your back's gonna hurt because you just pulled lawnscaping duty." It's so funny.
Well, good for Happy. Oh my god, it is like some movies
There
don't
was
hold up,
one there
but that
was
movie
one
holds up.
Yeah, there was one night, and I remember it was me and my sisters, and we were watching the end section of the movie where that big guy is running in slow motion to go beat up Shooter McGavin,
Yeah,
and he
Mr.
makes
Larson.
this noise where he's like, "Arr."
Yeah,
And we kept rewinding it and then playing it and then rewinding it and playing it. We did it for like 35 minutes straight and we couldn't breathe. It was like the stupidest thing, but like that's the things that we would do. And that's why movies like this are so funny because they're
yeah,
so outlandish at times that you're like, oh my God, this is so
yeah.
stupid.
I agree. They have to bring back Christopher McDonald. Like Shooter McGavin has to be in it. He
And
has to
Julie
be.
Bowen. I think Julie's got to be in it.
Yeah. I just hope they don't do the thing where it's like it's about his kid and he's sort of in it. Like I hope like it's not one of those things where Adam Sandler like uses as a vehicle to build his kid's career, because I saw he like did a movie where his daughter starred in it and they advertised it like it was an Adam Sandler movie. It was just,
Mm.
it felt a little
I'm gonna guess it's probably him doing like a masters or like one of the like what's the older tour in golf?
the senior tour.
The senior tour, something like
Yeah,
that, where
senior
like
PGA tour.
yeah, like he's been retired and then something happens and he's got to come out of retirement. Like I
Yeah,
think that's gonna be the movie.
like he doesn't have the swing anymore because he's older.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think, man, I just hope they get like bring Judd back for like just write it well. That's all. That I feel like with these sequels, you just got to make sure you write it well. You know what I mean? But I'm excited. I'm very very excited for this. I think we should even maybe do a watch along with it when it comes out. I'm hoping for good things. I'm always a big Adam Sandler fan because he seems like such like a regular dude. He like goes plays pickup basketball in the park and stuff. He doesn't see himself as like better than people, and I believe him. I've always
Yeah.
been a Sandler fan, so I'm rooting for it to be good, and I can't wait to see it. I'm really, really excited for this one.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be great. Speaking of coming back, our next few stories are about people coming back to their roles that they're
Coming
pretty
back.
famous for.
Mhm.
This next story is Chris Pratt is on the tour for Garfield, which again, I don't know how he's getting these voice roles. I've said this before. Like Garfield and Mario. How is he the guy for those voices now? But
Well,
I
and
digress.
it's all started with the Lego Movie.
I know, but like the Lego movie I see though, because he was kind of playing Andy from Park and Rec
Yeah,
in that
yeah.
movie. Like he had that kind of like childlike golden retriever
Mhm,
innocence, like not really knowing what's
mhm,
going on to the point that like he's so lovable.
mhm.
But these characters are kind of iconic voices, and
Yeah.
I'm surprised they don't get a voice actor. But anyway, he's doing a tour for Garfield, and he was interviewed by
Mhm.
comicbook.com. And of course, Star Lord came up, one of his famous roles, and they asked, hey, would you ever go back to playing Star Lord or going into the MCU again as they get into this next phase of the MCU? Or would you want to appear in James Gunn's new DCU? What do you feel about it? And he actually said, I would do one. And then he said, yeah, I'd probably do the other. And then he followed up with, I think I'd 100% do both. So now the big question is he actually saying he's coming to both, or is he just playing around? What are your thoughts, John?
Um, I think this is sort of a tongue-in-cheek manifesting type of thing. He's obviously good friends with James Gunn. When James Gunn got quasi canceled a few years ago, like his whole cast and crew like had his back, and like they said, like we're not doing Guardians without James, and you felt that family there. And then James Gunn at the same time when people were trying to cancel Chris Pratt for some like misinterpretation of information and stuff. James is like, Chris is one of the greatest people I've met. He's my dear friend. So they're clearly good pals and they talk, and I'm sure he'll find him a role in DC. My guess is that the Star-Lord thing's already in the works. I've been saying this. I think Marvel's doing one last big bang with all of
Mhm.
those legacy people for Secret Wars, and I think they're all going to come back for that. So I think he knows that because he led with that. He's like probably Star Lord, right? Probably Star Lord. But
Yeah.
then he's like, oh, but these let's say both. Let's say both. And I think there's probably not a sealed role for DC yet, but they'll find him something. He'll do something in DC for sure. I think.
I actually don't know what I could see him playing in DC. I agree that James Gunn, I mean, look at his brother, Sean Gunn. He tends to hire and cast people that he's close with, that he trusts to take
And
on
everyone
certain
does
roles.
that.
Everyone does it. I'm not saying it's any different than anybody else. I'm just saying from his own track
Mhm.
record. So I would assume that he'd also bring over Chris Pratt if he had a role that he thought he'd be a good fit in. I agree with you. I think Star-Lord is still around. I don't think he's gone anywhere. Although at the same time, I feel like James Gunn, I haven't seen the last Guardians, but from my understanding is they really wrapped up the story very well.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they want to continue that story. I don't know
Well,
if
he'll
they
he'll
want to
come
just
back in
leave it alone
Avengers
for.
probably.
Yeah, maybe. They might
Yeah.
bring him back. I don't know. He's
And the
got a lot going
Garfield
on.
thing, it's got to be just his name, his bankability. Like, yeah, they could probably get somebody who sounds more like Garfield, like they did with Bill Murray. Bill Murray did sound like Garfield, and actually, the guy who voiced Garfield ended up voicing Pete Venkman on the Real Ghostbusters cartoon. So there is that sort of weird cyclical thing there. But Chris
I
Pratt,
agree
they're
with you.
probably just
Chris
like,
Pratt is just a name. I get it. I
yeah,
understand. I just
yeah,
feel like I'm on the side very much, and I'm not saying he's doing a bad job because the both movies, especially Mario, made buckets and buckets and buckets of money.
tons of money.
People loved it. So I can't speak to that he didn't do it well. I'm saying that it's really hard to argue when you have the guy that does voice Mario and you don't give him the opportunity.
Um,
But from my understanding is they went different with that movie and, like, did a whole different voice for him, which is
yeah.
fine, but it's one of those things that you just feel kinda like, "I don't know, I really like the original Mario,
hmm
but I'm not the audience." The audience is young kids and their families.
I, I,
My kids are too young for them.
I have to watch Mario again. I put it on one day when my
Yeah.
son was home, and I wasn't paying attention though. But I gotta watch it. My only guess with that is they maybe thought the over the top stereotypical Italian thing for 90 minutes would have been too much.
It's a me,
Yeah,
Mario.
yeah, but like, how's he supposed to get to have a serious like conversation when he's just like boppity boopy?
This
But
world is ending.
also, like, I feel like anytime Chris Pratt is casting something, people are like, I can't believe Chris Pratt's been casting this. And it's like, why? Because everything he does makes $1 billion?
You know what? It's for me, and I know we've had this conversation about other actors before, is when you see his face, you're like, that's Chris Pratt. That's the level of fame he's gotten to. So for me, it's like I get a little bit taken out because I'm like, oh, that's Chris Pratt.
Even with a voice? No.
No, no, no. I'm saying in general. I'm not saying with the voice.
Oh,
I don't
mm,
have any examples with the voice yet. I only know from the trailer. I haven't seen the movie. I have to go back and
yeah.
watch it. But I think a lot of people's feelings with Chris Pratt is that he's made some choices in his life that people don't agree with. I'm not saying they're right and wrong and feeling those ways, but I know that that's what it is. You know, he left Anna Faris, married Arnold Schwarzenegger's daughter, supposedly didn't treat his son well, didn't treat Anna well. It was like a whole personal life thing. But again, there's a key word there. It's personal life. And I think he got a lot of flack for that, is that it wasn't handled well. But
And
that's not my business. That's not anybody's business. But unfortunately, being in the public eye, people make it their business.
like, it's funny because that does become like internet buzz, but it's not stopping like normal average people from seeing these movies. And it's like,
No, absolutely not. And
and
that's what I'm
his
saying. He's
personal
making
life
buckets
shouldn't
of money.
matter. Yeah. His
Yeah.
personal life shouldn't matter.
Man.
It's like, yeah, it's like Tom Cruise, like people are like, man, I hate Scientologists, but like really want to go see Top Gun. And then they go see Top Gun. So it's like, hey, you know?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it is what it is. You know, you can work with people in your real life that you don't like, but you got to work with them. You know, I mean, you
Yeah.
got to deal with them. So it's
And
no
you and
different.
thankfully, that's not the case.
True. I don't know why you had to say that out loud. I thought it was kind of a given. What?
Well, this is only
All
the
right.
third episode of this podcast. If people are just listening to this one, they don't understand the hundreds and hundreds of episodes we've done together on podcasts that if we didn't like each other, it'd be what was that called? Like just self-inflicted wounds. Anyway, what else is cooking?
What else is cooking is another return of an iconic character. Elle from Legally Blonde is returning in two ways. You have from the Prime Video announcement from their upfront this past week, they announced that they ordered a Legally Blonde prequel series titled Elle from Reese Witherspoon's media company, Hello Sunshine. And she came out and presented the idea in this cute little Barbie pink outfit with her little chihuahua, of course. And they
She
said
looks
that
fantastic, by the way.
she does. She looks amazing. Her daughter looks just like her. It's
I,
insane.
it's crazy that how well she has seemingly aged, but
Mhm.
also yes, like it's her and Ryan Phillippe's kid, right?
Yeah. She looks
Yeah, she
just
does.
like Reese Witherspoon.
Someone thought that she was gonna play this character.
Oh, that would be cool. That would be actually really cool.
Yeah,
But
like
the
Sopranos.
series yeah, so the series follows Woods during high school years, quote, "As we learn about the life experiences that shaped her into the iconic young woman we came to know and love in the first Legally Blonde film." People should also know if your immediate reaction is, "Oh, so it's not Reese?" Don't worry. Reese is also coming back in Legally Blonde 3, which she will star in. And it's being written by Mindy Kaling and Brooklyn Nine-Nine's co-creator Dan Gore. They're writing the script, but the film's premiere date hasn't been announced yet. So you're getting double dose of Elle, which is fabulous because I
Did
love
you
this
like those
movie.
movies? Yeah.
Oh, not the second one, the first one. The first Legally Blonde is one of
Oh,
my
that's good.
favorite movies ever.
Yeah,
Ever. It is
yeah.
so good. Everything about it, the whole court scene where she figures out that she got a perm and she's like,
Linda
"So you took a shower?"
Cardinelli, yeah.
Yeah. She's like, "Yeah, I took a shower." She's like, "And you took a shower?"
That was sort of like, yeah, My Cousin Vinny, sort of.
Yeah, exactly. But I didn't see that first. I saw Legally Blonde first,
Oh,
and I
okay.
saw My Cousin Vinny actually recently. Everybody in the at home is booing me right now. I saw it recently. I'm sorry, and that scene is exactly the same. It's
Little
that moment.
dough idea.
Yeah,
I love
it is.
Marissa Tomei. Oh, jeez.
This movie is so good, Legally Blonde, the first one,
I like
that,
the
like,
first one, yeah.
even the article now, they show a screenshot of her walking down the sidewalk in her little pink dress, and I know exactly what scene it is. She's walking down the street, and it's during her little video to Harvard, law school, and she's like, "I'm so, into law that I use jargon in my regular life." And so she's walking down the street and this guy whistles at her and she just goes, "I object." And then she looks at the camera and smiles.
Oh my
I know
what
exactly what part it is.
I can't believe that movie is almost 25 years old.
I
It's
can't
just
either, but I'm interested to see where she goes from here because the second one, she goes to Congress. She works in Washington.
Oh, I don't think I saw the second one then.
I
Yeah.
haven't seen the second one either, but I hope they bring it back to like what was so special about the first one. The second one just seemed a little
Did they bring like, was Luke Wilson and Jennifer Coolidge in the second one, or was it all different
I
people?
think they were, but they weren't in it that much because she leaves to go to Washington.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
so he kinda like they do like the, "Oh, he stays behind"
I feel
type
like I gotta
thing.
watch the second one now,
I
so the
know, we
third
gotta
one
watch
makes
it all
sense.
through. How do you
Um,
feel about Mindy Kaling writing the script?
I like Mindy Kaling, she obviously did work, like, I guess, cut her teeth on The Office doing writing.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't see the Mindy Project, but Mindy Kaling's
Mindy
really
Project's
funny.
good.
Is it? Yeah, I gotta watch that.
Yeah, it's really funny.
She's really funny. So yeah, I say go for it. The one other thing I have to add here is, Jennifer Coolidge, like if you watch anything that she was in the 90s or before, she had like a normal voice. Like
I
a
want a hot dog real bad.
Yeah, so that voice right there, she does for Legally Blonde, and then she made it her permanent voice after
She
that.
just became that character after this movie,
Yes!
yeah.
And they, like, I think because people like
She was in Seinfeld, she was the masseuse.
she was the masseuse in Seinfeld, and she was in a bunch of the Christopher Guest mockumentaries, and yeah.
Mhm.
Good call. Yeah, Jody, the masseuse.
"I
But
just want a massage."
yeah, she was like the just normal voice, but I think what might have happened was people like she got really popular from Legally Blonde that she's like, I'm just gonna if they want to cast me as that type of thing, that's who I'm gonna be from now on. And then you see her in like White Lotus only 2 years ago doing the same old thing. So good for her. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm interested to see where this goes. Mindy definitely has the kind of really quirky, funny humor. She played a character that was very much Elle Woods in the Office, especially the earlier seasons
True. That's a good point.
where Kelly was like, "Oh my god, this happened. Oh my god, I can't believe this. Jim, did you hear that this happened on American Idol?" Like that kind of stuff. So I could see that humor pouring over into this. Um, I love Reese Witherspoon. I don't think she can do anything wrong, so I'm completely on board with this.
Jim she asked Jim what how his summer was or what he's been up to, and
Yeah,
he
and
tells
she
her.
talks about
And then he
yeah,
goes, "How about you?" And she's like, "Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes had a baby, and they named it Siri, and it's so
yeah,
adorable."
yeah, and he
She's
goes,
like,
"Well,
"Oh,
what about you?" And I told you.
I already told you."
I already told you what happened.
Uh,
Um, what also is coming this summer, speaking of summer of this year, not Mindy Kaling's summer,
mm,
um, they are bundling up cable. Well, cable streaming. So Comcast has now announced they're doing an offer with Peacock, Netflix, and Apple TV, bundling it together for you in one price. This is in response to Disney Plus, Hulu, and Max bundling. So you have the two bundles now. Because remember when you left cable because it was cheaper to watch TV online and you get to watch what you want to watch and there's no commercials, and then they started rolling up commercials, and then you could pay a little more and not get commercials, but then they were like, psych, just kidding, now you get commercials. Yeah, now they're going back to cable basically. So John, what are your thoughts on the return of the cable bundles.
When I cut the cord, I refuse to go back to cable because they really do monopolize territories. Like you can only
Yep.
choose one or two cable companies,
Yep.
and they refused to get me like to lower my rate, and it was getting so expensive. And I was like, all right, I'm out.
And they up it a little bit. And when you look at the bill, it'll be like sports fee,
Yeah.
random Tuesday fee,
Oh, yeah.
sandwich fee. And you're like, what are all these fees? And they're like, well, we told you that fees come up. And you're like, so
Yeah.
the deal you gave me when I started, they just keep adding fees till they get you back up to
Oh.
whatever the cost is.
It's the worst. I bet if I try to quote it right now, like it's just an outrageous price, even with the new like come on in deals.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, like it depends on the price because I need, I'm never gonna get rid of Disney Plus, I'm sure. Hulu, I've been with and without. I do like Hulu. And then what was the other one? Max?
Max, those are the three together. So it's basically Warner Brothers and Disney have come together, and then Comcast has teamed up with Apple TV and Netflix.
Apple TV has, in my opinion, right now the strongest slate of original content. And I don't have it, but I've been tempted to get it and cut something else. Netflix has been pissing me off a lot because at night, for some
Why?
reason, I like Netflix, and I feel like they're starting to make a comeback, but I feel like they got very bargain bin for a while with a lot of their content when it wasn't Stranger Things season. But now they're getting sports. They're doing NFL games, which is going to change everything on Christmas. They're getting WWE Raw exclusively. They're gonna get all these new movies. Adam Sandler's there. We just talked about Happy Gilmore 2, Stranger Things coming back. So Netflix is they're still the force to be reckoned with. So you have them and Apple, and then Peacock. I don't know. It's a very tempting bundle though. It depends on the price for me, but I'll have to really take a look at it. I don't know. It's interesting to say the least because right now I have Netflix anyway. So if they're gonna lower my price for Netflix to get me Apple, fine, because Netflix keeps going up too.
They do. I did notice that there's one here that's missing that isn't in either bundle, and that's Prime TV, Prime Video. Which makes me laugh because it's just like, that's Amazon. So it makes me laugh because they're like, you can't sit with us. So it's like, you can't be in either bundle. You're on your own.
They're like, everyone has Prime probably, so.
Yeah. I mean, that's really it. So I hope if you're interested in any of these bundles, it works out for you. But right now I'm just looking at this being like, we gave up TV to get away from this, and now we're back at it, which we all knew was going to happen. Let's be honest, we all predicted this, that they were going to, people were moving from cable, they went to Netflix, then Hulu came out pretty early on. Then it was like, hey, now they're going to do Disney, and then they're going to do Max, and then they're going to do this, and then we all knew they were going to come back together in the end.
Satellite radio, no commercials. No commercials.
Yeah.
So basically anytime something new comes out and they're like, no commercials, that is ending at some point.
Yeah, joke's on you. They're coming. The commercials. Now they're even talking about putting commercials in video games, which was a big, big topic in the past week and a half because EA said they were going to put commercials in the middle of their video games, and gamers and everybody alike were like, I'm sorry, what? A video game is such a personal experience. You pay a fee to own that disc. And now you're going to tell me that I have to, in the middle of my story mode or fight or whatever it is, have to watch people are using the Whopper Jr. commercials, the Whopper Jr.
Yeah.
Those annoying commercials, they were putting it in the middle of video games, like when you're about to start fighting a boss or something. Oh, it was so funny. But yeah, I'm totally against that stuff. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
Speaking of stupid.
All right.
I'm just kidding. No, it's not stupid. But Gerard Butler is in talks to reteam with Christian. How do you say his name? Gudegast? For action adventure Empire State. So he is teaming up to play Rhett Butler, keeping the last name, who is a ex-Marine who is now a firefighter that is going to save hostages from the Empire State Building. The reason I said stupid in my head is because if you go online and you go on like X, the Empire State Building Twitter account is ridiculous.
Oh,
Well,
I
sorry,
hate
X
it.
account.
I hate
They
it.
act like a building is a person and they talk like they're a person. And so, to be fair, John, that's what I thought of when I read Empire State Building in my head. I thought of the Twitter account that does that stuff. And so I
Ugh.
was like thinking, oh, that's stupid. And then I was talking about this movie. This movie sounds like something I would totally see with my husband, which is an action adventure thriller of getting hostages out of the Empire State Building, which has
Yeah.
already been classic in many movies, from Elf to Sleepless in Seattle. Lots of movies have had Empire State Building scenes. What are you going to see this movie, John? Do you like Gerard Butler? I'll start there.
Well, first of all, I do like Gerard Butler. You know I like Gerard Butler.
I do.
Yeah, because he would be my pick to replace Balin Skull in
Oh
Ahsoka.
yeah, you did say that. You did say that. Yes.
But I also find it funny that you said he's playing Rhett Butler, but he's playing a character named Rhett, and his name is Butler because Rhett Butler is the name of the character in Gone with the Wind.
The way it's written in this article makes it sound like his name is Rhett Butler. Oh, they're saying parenthesis Butler.
This is actually a
Oh.
reboot of Gone with the Wind, and it takes place in the Empire State Building.
So I've totally butchered this. Let me start over. Woo woo woo. All right, Empire State Building in Empire State, when the Empire State Building comes under attack by a military contractor hell bent on revenge. Navy SEAL, so he's not a Marine, he's Navy SEAL, turned NY firefighter Rhett, parenthesis, Butler, and NYPD tactical officer Danny. I love how the girls in these movies are always named like Danny, Tony, Tori, parenthesis, yet to be cast, must set aside their relationship troubles as they work to rescue hostages and save the famous landmark. Of
Mhm.
course, so they're going to have that banter where they're like, you didn't make dinner that one time. And they're like, shut up. And then they have to shoot the person behind them.
Mhm.
You know what I'm
Yes.
talking about?
Yes. And then he's gonna say, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn."
You're such Okay, the guy that's writing this also wrote London Has Fallen, which starred Butler and grossed over $200 million worldwide. So they're pretty much a solid team at making these movies that are entertaining, thriller, action, adventure, popcorn
Yeah,
movies.
I think it's gonna be fun. That's the exactly what I'm looking for here. So not much else to say. I'll check it out for sure. And I like Gerard Butler, so let's more of these act. This sounds like like a little bit of like a Die Hard ripoff. Skyscraper.
Yes. Yeah.
Someone hell bent on revenge. This operative or whatever. It's very like that. So I'm gonna check it out for sure. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Do you like action movies? Would you say they're your favorite kind of movie? Action
Not,
adventure?
I wouldn't say my favorite, but they're up there. I do like action adventure movies. Yeah,
Are you a fan of Arnold Schwarzenegger?
I love Arnold.
Well, good. Do you like Christmas?
Yeah,
Buckle up. I've got the perfect movie for you,
Jingle All the
John.
Way too.
No, but it could have
Oh,
been. But it's not. No.
could have been the return
Arnold
of Jake Lloyd. We could have gotten the return of Jake Lloyd.
I know. Arnold Schwarzenegger is joining a Christmas comedy from Adam Shankman, a family Christmas comedy for Amazon MGM. So for those of you that don't know, Amazon bought MGM a while ago. So now MGM is also Amazon Prime Video. And it's going to also star Alan Ritchson from Reacher, right? Is the name? Yeah, Reacher. I gotta watch that. That's on my to watch list. Everyone talks about how great it is. I gotta watch it.
Mm-hmm.
So this
Same.
movie, Arnold Schwarzenegger Christmas movie, he's playing Santa,
All right,
and it's called The Man with the Bag.
get over here. Sit on my lap.
Get to the sleigh.
Do it now.
Can I tell you? Matt, my husband, loves Arnold Schwarzenegger, favorite actor of all time. Like, he's the biggest super fan ever. I think I even wrote to him once to get an autograph from Matt, and he totally just never responded to me. I feel terrible about it now I thought about it. Anyway, so Arnold, Man with the Bag. Wait, I had a story. So Matt bought True Lies on 4K. This was a big deal. Did you hear about this? How True Lies came out in 4K?
Mm-hmm.
It was a huge deal for all True Lies fans. Matt immediately got it in the mail, and he walked it from the mailbox, opened up the disc, and immediately put it in and started watching it. It was like True Lies. And I was like, what are we doing?
Wow. Okay.
He's a big fan. So
Yeah.
I feel like he's
Arnold
going to be a
rules.
fan of this. The Man with the Bag centers on Santa Claus learning that his magic bag has been swiped, leading old Saint Nick to team up with Vance, a reformed thief and denizen. What does denizen mean?
A denizen.
What does a denizen mean?
You don't know what denizen means?
No, neither do you. And you're Googling it right now for our audio listeners. Of the naughty list to get it back. The duo also enlists Vance's daughter and a team of misfit elves to help them save Christmas. This sounds like a really fun movie.
A denizen is an inhabitant or occupant of a particular place.
Okay, that wasn't really necessary to have this in this article.
Whoever wrote this article is like, I just learned the word denizen the other day, and I'm going to put it in my Arnold
Use it as a
Schwarzenegger.
noun.
I'm going to use it in my Arnold Schwarzenegger Santa Claus movie article.
Yeah. Well,
I see you, Ryan Gajewski. I see you. Using the word denizen. I'm going to look up this dude's Twitter account right now, and I'm going to add him. I'm going to say, why'd you use denizen in this article?
Well, the director, Adam Shankman, is known for What Women Want, Rock of Ages, and Hairspray. So he's definitely on the more kind of over-the-top, elaborate movie sets. So that's going to be interesting. And yeah, I think it should be fun. Arnold Schwarzenegger hasn't been on the big screen since 2019 with Terminator Dark Fate. So it's nice to see that he's coming back to the big screen, or should I say little screen if you're watching a TV. Not that little. I have a pretty big TV. For this Christmas movie. Is this something you're going to tune in for?
Hang on, I'm tweeting at this guy.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my.
I'll watch it for sure. Arnold, are you kidding me? I'll absolutely watch this. Is this good? Do we know? Did it say whether it's going to the theaters or not? Forgive me.
It did not. I think it's going to Prime.
Yeah, this sounds like a streamer.
It does sound like a streamer.
Yeah, I'll check it out for sure. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Christmas movie. I love Christmas movies, even bad.
Well, yeah, there's been a definite push across the streaming services from Netflix to Hulu to Disney Plus to Prime that they all want to have Christmas movies, and they all make it a big thing every year to have Christmas movies now. Whereas it used to be only Hallmark really had them on the Hallmark Channel. They've really owned the countdown to Christmas. However, Christmas is expanding to different streaming services.
There hasn't been a good Christmas movie in a while.
I liked Holiday on Netflix. That was a good one. That was a good rom-com though. So it depends what kind of Christmas movie you're talking about.
Was that the one with Emma Roberts?
Emma Roberts. Yeah, it was good. Did you
not
not like it?
I don't like Emma Roberts.
Why?
I think she. Here comes the spice, baby. I think she might have benefited a bit from the nepotism.
I think she's good though.
I think she's all right.
She was great on Scream Queens. Was her greatest role of all time.
Scream 4 was horrible.
No, Scream Queens, the TV show from Ryan Murphy, was one of the best roles she's ever played, if not the best. When she played Chanel.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
With Ariana Grande. No? Okay. Well. On the opposite spectrum of movies, from Christmas to Barbarella, Sydney Sweeney is eyeing Jane Goldman and Honey Ross to co-write with Edgar Wright in talks to direct a new updated version of Barbarella starring her. John, have you ever seen Barbarella?
I have not, but after the clip you showed me, I'm going to watch that immediately.
Barbarella is from 1968. It stars Jane Fonda, and it is a psychedelic sexual movie
Yeah.
about a woman that is an astronaut space traveler that goes to all these different planets and solves problems and saves the world. So, well done, Sydney Sweeney. If you're going for this, I'm interested to see where they take it. Are they going to go like crazy thriller? Are they just taking the concept? Or are they doing like
No,
a
I I think I could be wrong, but to me it seems like Sydney Sweeney is fully embracing the sex symbol actress thing that has been sort of like frowned upon in the industry because there's this what I feel is a false narrative that embracing beauty and sexuality and femininity is a sign of weakness in female characters. Like so I think she's running with that. She's like, "I'll be if we don't have that person, I'll be that person in these movies." And I think it's a smart move by her. And so I think it'll be campy and like fun. I don't think they're going to try to do some sort of serious spin on Barbarella. Like, what do you think? Do you think they're
Yeah,
going
I
to
don't
try to
think
sort
so
of
either, especially because they have Edgar Wright involved, who is, Scott Pilgrim. He's Baby Driver. So I don't see him doing a serious movie. I see him doing something that's very I wouldn't say artistic isn't the right word, but like has a certain aesthetic, is like bright colors, punchy, interesting cuts. That kind of music is gonna be really big in this movie because Edgar Wright loves music in his
Oh,
movies.
that's a good point, yeah.
But yeah, I'm interested to see what happens. If you haven't seen Barbarella, if you're listening to this, go on YouTube and just, like, Google the trailer. It kinda gives away a lot of the movie just because back in the day, they didn't really cut trailers. They cut, like, "Here's a highlight reel of the movie,"
Yeah.
but there's, like, dolls that, like, bite her, and then she goes into this machine that, like, it's basically this guy's gonna kill her by giving her some type of orgasm or something. It's, like, over the top
That's the
ridiculous.
clip you showed me, just absolutely bananas, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and then, like, there's other things where, she is flying around with a guy with wings. She has sex with a lot of people in this movie, I'm not gonna lie, like, she has sex with, like, 3 different people in this movie, if not more. Um, but it's one of those things that's from its time, like, it was the '60s, it's wild. Jane Fonda's gorgeous, Sydney Sweeney's gorgeous, so I get it, I understand. It's gonna be a fun, big-haired
Also,
astronaut.
Edgar Wright, like, have you seen Baby Driver?
Yeah,
That's one of
I
my
own
favorite
Baby
movies.
Driver.
Yeah, I love
Really?
that movie. Yeah, I love it. I, like, fell in love with Lily James in that movie. Like, I thought that character of Deborah was so lovable and likable and, like, so charming, and then I was thinking about it, and I'm like, he also did Scott Pilgrim, and he, like, made
I
that a
love
very
Scott Pilgrim.
he
Oh,
made that, like, this very likable character. What was her name? Ramona?
Ramona Flowers.
Yeah. So it's like he knows how to make likable women leads. So and he's got Sydney Sweeney, who's like her star is rising. It's
Which,
very interesting.
speaking of Sydney Sweeney and Arnold, we're about to connect both of those right now.
Let's
Edgar
do it.
Wright is also working on the reboot of Running Man with Glenn Powell.
See? There you go.
So we got
Yeah.
6 more less than 6 separations. We have Sydney and Glenn over here working together. Then we have Sydney working with Edgar Wright. Edgar Wright's working with Glenn. It's crazy.
Little
And they're both
trinity
working
there.
on Running Man. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool stuff. Yeah, for sure.
So the next thing is something I don't know if I'm gonna be into this, but John, you put this on the list because I think this is something you're interested in, which is
Yeah.
an Earnhardt 4-part documentary coming to Prime Video in 2025. So Prime Video, first of all, killed it with their upfronts because all these
Oh.
stories are from them. Um, what are your thoughts, John?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a NASCAR fan. I didn't get into NASCAR until after Dale Earnhardt died, but he's famously, the most famous NASCAR driver of all time, and he died during the last laps of the Daytona 500, protecting the lead of his son. It was just this very um, strange situation for this guy. Everyone thought was like this immortal. It's basically like if when Kobe Bryant died, if he like died on the court during Game 7 or something, like, or if Michael Jordan died, or it's like that's who Dale Earnhardt was for NASCAR. He was the Michael Jordan of NASCAR.
So what happened? He hit the wall or something?
He got spun and went up into the wall, and he refused to wear like their new neck harness thing, and his neck snapped.
Ooh.
And his son and their other teammate like won the race, but then they found out obviously he had passed. But so Dale Earnhardt Jr. Still raced for years after that. One race is the tribute to his dad. So there's a lot of this just like emotion around the sport because their biggest hero died doing the sport. And now they're doing this 4-part series on Amazon, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. was promoting it. So, the family's heavily involved and they're going to do it right. And also, he was just this larger than life character that I think it's a great time for people to experience who he was, because he died, 23 years ago now. And people know the name, but they don't understand like his story and like his personality. And he was such a character and very personable and likable. I think this is going to be really good, especially for NASCAR fans, but also people who just are interested in like a very, really cool American story. So I'm excited to check this out. Because I was
I'm
a Dale
interested because
Jr.
it's
fan.
families. I like the idea of like the family story, and I think I would definitely tune in for that.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool.
All right, you ready to get into some trailers?
Let's get into some trailers.
Oh God, I love that movie.
All right, trailer time. And as we said at the top, we have a bunch to get through, 6 to talk about. So we'll spend varying time on some of these, some more on others. But Lacey, let's start out of the gate with one of the most popular TV shows on streaming, Only Murders in the Building, coming back for a 4th season, which I bet when they first made it, they did not expect that they would have to make all these different stories. But it's caught so much fire that they're like, we got to keep rolling. We're having a great time together. It seems like Selena Gomez, Steve Martin, and Martin Short love each other, which is really cool to see. But what was your take? You like the show. I know you like the show. Are you
I
caught
do.
up? Are you caught up fully? And what do you think of the trailer for the 4th season, which is coming out, I believe, this next month?
Yeah, I am caught up. Before you can spoil it for me, John, I am caught up
There it
on
is.
Only Murders in the Building season 3. I'm not gonna lie, there were moments in season 3 where I was like, all right, maybe they should have ended this last season. And I felt like it was kind of dragging a bit. And then there would be this big moment, and I'd be like, okay, all right, I'm still on board. All right, you got me. And then there'd be this dip, and I'd be like, oh, God, okay, I take that back. Like, this is just dragging now. And then it would pick up again, and I'd be like, okay, wow, that went a place I didn't go or didn't think it was going to go. And then that's how this season ended for me for season 3 is I was like, okay, where are they going now? This trailer for me felt like, let's bring in every famous person that we know.
Oh,
And that I feel like it takes away from what the show is from season 1, even season 2, is it didn't feel like Cameo Palooza. It just felt like a really good show that starred a bunch of really famous people.
yeah. There
And
weren't
now
famous people as themselves showing up that I remember.
right, it just feels too much. It feels like, hey, how can we get more celebrities involved? Or other side of that, their friends are reaching out saying, how do I get a role on it? Can I be in the show? Can I be in the show? Because in the trailer, they're taking their show to LA. They're going to Hollywood. So then you're like, okay, here we go. And it's like they just start the whole trailer is just listing names of famous people. And I feel like that takes it. I get taken out of it. You know what I mean? I know Charles
I
is a working actor in the show, but it
Yeah.
just becomes too much.
I'm completely with you, and maybe even a harsher. I think this show is finished. I When I saw the trailer, I just sank a little bit because I agree with you in the 3rd season. It was the weakest of the 3, but I still enjoyed it. And
Mhm.
with the death that happened at the end of the 3rd season, I was interested to see, oh, where's that gonna go?
Mhm.
Um, but the same thing as you. I see this. They go out to California. It has that sort of like in-universe thing like Scream did, where they made a movie about a movie, or like Seinfeld pitching the show about Seinfeld in Seinfeld, you know?
Or Forgetting Sarah Marshall, yeah.
Yeah, so now they want to option their podcast story in the show. I am so over movies and shows that do that. And the fact that they're going to California, it's going to lose that New York aesthetic and that New York feel and the intimacy of the show, which is around these three characters. Now they're going to be, like you said, interacting with all these celebrities. It's like the Entourage movie, like or that show The League on FX which is such a funny idea. And then like all of a sudden these regular guys have access to all these NFL players. It just gets
Mhm.
stupid. And it's
Mhm.
like I think this is a mistake, and I feel like we're gonna lose the charm of the three of them being together and not being famous people. But like you're saying, Steve Martin's character was in a show, but no one knows who he is.
But that was the joke, is that nobody knew who he was.
Yeah. They're like, who?
And then even when they had fans, it was like their 3 super fans, remember, outside the
Exactly.
building? And
Yeah.
that was it. It
Yeah.
was like 3 people.
So I feel like they're gonna be lost in this just like potpourri of celebrity cameos, and it's gonna be bad. And I just feel like the show's finished. And I felt like it may have been overstaying its welcome anyway, while still liking it. But
Mhm.
this seems like a jump the shark scenario to me, and I just have a bad feeling. Happy to be wrong, but just I'm with you.
I'm gonna still watch it, but I agree with you. I think the last season I felt it. I was like, "Okay, this is it, right?" And then it
Mm.
ended in such a place that you were like, "Oh, they're giving them more."
Yeah. So we'll see. But next up we have something getting mixed reviews. One of the greatest filmmakers of all time, Francis Ford Coppola, has the Adam Driver led Megalopolis, which Coppola's been putting the ingredients together in the pot for decades now on this one, apparently. And from what I understand, it's getting mixed reviews. Did you happen to catch the trailer on this? I know you are still an Adam Driver fan, so any thoughts
Mhm.
on Megalopolis?
The trailer's kind of all over the place. You know, it reads very much like I would compare it to like a George Lucas prequel movie. Like it's all over the place and you're not really sure it's going. And there's a lot of technology or, different scenes that they like have had in their head for so long that they have to see on screen. I would say the teaser trailer got me more, which was Adam Driver coming out of a roof, like a rooftop room, like a penthouse, and then walking out, and you're like, "Oh my god, he's going to the edge," and then you're like, "Oh my god, is he gonna jump? Is he gonna kill himself?" And then he says, "Time stop," and then the time stops. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that concept alone sold me on, like, "What is this about? This is cool." But this trailer is just kind of all over the place. And then to hear that all these stories are coming out from behind the scenes from crew members saying how it was, like, such a toxic space, and, the director was so against CG and visual effects that he made Adam Driver sit in a chair for 6 hours on, like, the first day of filming, and, like, that he's, like, making out with extras or trying to kiss them on set and, like, just weird stuff that just makes me go, like, "I don't know if I wanna watch this."
But
Like, you
do
get
you
the ick.
do you believe? I mean, it's Francis Ford Coppola. He's 85, and I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember any controversies ever coming out about him. Could it just be
But
he's
it's
like an
not the time that it is now, though. You have to remember that people
I
don't openly
understand.
talk about things like they do now.
Yeah, I understand that completely, and I'm not trying to
So
say,
am I gonna see this? I'm gonna be probably not.
mm,
I'm probably gonna skip it.
I don't know if I'm gonna see it. I might. How long is it? Is it 3 hours? It feels like
I
it's
think
gonna be
it's
3
I think
hours.
it's super long.
Yeah, that's always a deterrent for me. Insert tape 2 to watch the sinking of the Titanic. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I might check it out. We'll see. I'm not gonna go to the theaters. I know that.
No.
I'm not gonna go see this in the theaters, but we will see eventually. But completely different type of movie,
Which I will see.
not coming out until next January. Is You're Cordially Invited, and I believe this is Prime again.
It is Prime again. Yep.
Yeah, so we got Will Ferrell, we got Reese Witherspoon. A lot of Reese So last week it was the show of Glenn Powell, and this week it seems to be Reese Witherspoon
Yeah.
filling 2 of our segments. But did you check out the trailer for this seemingly not rom-com, because I don't know if they're gonna like have a romance, but it's a comedy nonetheless. What do you think of Will Ferrell
It's
and Reese?
Yeah, it reads very much like a Step Brothers Bride Wars type movie
Like
where
Neighbors?
where they're,
Yeah.
like, playing pranks on each other back and forth. I agree, I don't know if it's a rom-com. If that angle happens, I'm gonna be like, "Okay," but I don't see it happening. Maybe it'll become like a, like, conscious, like, surrender at the end, but who
Yeah.
knows? Um But yeah, the movie's about Reese Witherspoon planning her sister's perfect wedding, and the father, Will Ferrell, of a young bride to be, find out that they are double booked by Kenneth from 30 Rock for their destination wedding at a remote resort off the island of a Carolina coast. When both parties decide to share the small venue, chaos ensues. This movie looks absolutely hilarious. Will Ferrell is so good at comedy. Reese Witherspoon, so good as well. And just from like the first scene where they're both at the welcome desk and Will Ferrell's doing his stepbrother type humor, like, I'm gonna kick your butt. I'm gonna ruin your life. Like right out the gate, I'm on
Mhm.
board. I
Yeah.
love him yelling, screaming, ridiculous things happening. He's wrestling like an alligator at one point. Just like pure Will Ferrell over the top comedy. Like the way he says at the end of the trailer, he's like, "It's got so much torque," talking about the alligator, like, it just
Oh,
reminds me
yeah.
of Elf, where he's
Yes.
like that with the raccoon, he's like, "Oh, you're so
Yeah.
aggressive," like, just that's my humor. I love Will Ferrell, I love everything he does. It's like this movie was made for me.
It's funny, like, I did not know this, so I'm not, like, tooting my own horn or anything, but so Nicholas Stoller, the writer-director, did direct Neighbors and Neighbors 2, so he gets that
Nice.
revenge type thing.
He likes it, yeah.
He also directed Forgetting Sarah Marshall, which is sort of a revenge type of story.
Which has
Um,
moments like these, like, ridiculous over the top, you know?
yeah, his writing projects, I'm not in love with. Some of the Jim Carrey misses, but I'm gonna check this out because I love Will Ferrell and
I can't wait.
I like Reese Witherspoon also, and I
Why
like
January
comedy, so
30th, though? Like, why are they waiting till January? It's
that's
not
usually
even
where they
wedding season. Wedding
it
season is the summer.
yeah, isn't that usually where they dump things that aren't good too? Usually January is
Yeah,
like a dump month. I don't
yeah.
know. That's interesting, but,
Maybe
I'm
this
gonna check
trailer's
it out.
just really good, and it's, like, a really weird movie that's super depressing, but they cut all the funny parts into one one part of the trailer.
Yeah, and it's good to see, like, I know I was talking to you off air about this, but, like, Will Ferrell, I know he was in Barbie, and he's had, like, little roles, like, he's been in, like, cameo mode, I feel like, a lot. He's been showing up in little roles and things.
I think he's just
Maybe
been
he
living his life.
Yeah, maybe just living his life, but, like, when was the last just, like, Will Ferrell banger that you were like, "Man, that movie," like, it's been a while.
I think Step Brothers.
That's 15 years ago or 16 years ago.
I know, I think it's Step Brothers.
Yeah. Man, you might be right because that's 2008. I'm just looking quick. Other Guys is 2010.
Like, he rocked the 2000s.
He did. Yeah, his 2000s were like Jim Carrey's 90s. He just
Yes.
he annihilated the 2000s, no doubt about it. So yeah, we'll see. I'm looking forward to it. I will check that out for sure. January 2025. Prime it up. Then we got this next one. I know you haven't watched Game of Thrones, let alone House of the Dragon, but
I have not
House
watched any Game of Thrones.
yeah, House of the Dragons season 2 is a coming. Next month. I'm very excited for this. I think this actually looks a bit like a step up from season 1, which that could have been because they, had to film during COVID or something. I don't know, but the visual effects look closer to the par of Game of Thrones. I don't think House of the Dragon hit that Game of Thrones level in that first season, but the Targaryens, the dragons are coming. It's taking a step closer to that Game of Thrones era, even though it's still in the past. But warfare is coming. Whereas the first season, I think, was setting a lot of the chess pieces in play. There was action, but it was a lot more narrative based. I think this season is going to be like stuff's going to go down, like red wedding type stuff from Game of Thrones. So I'm excited to check it out. I plan on watching it, so I'll give little reviews here on the show because you're not going to start getting into it, right?
Did you
Yeah.
see the marketing though? I really appreciate the marketing for this show.
I
So
didn't see the marketing.
they released one of those like virtual magazine covers for Entertainment Weekly with the two characters of this show, the two main women, the two queens, and they were on a chessboard, just like you said. They were on a chessboard and they were the queen pieces and they were only moving the ways a queen move across the chessboard. It was so
Oh,
creative. The other thing I know about this show, honestly, House of Dragons, the only thing I know is from last year where they did that interview and she goes, "What's your drink of choice?" And she goes, Negroni, Spagliato with Prosecco in it. And she goes, "Ooh, stunning." Do you remember that?
no.
Oh my god, that was, like, the biggest meme for, like, ever, that, like,
Wow.
everybody over the summer was ordering Negroni Spagliatos with Prosecco in it,
Which
which
actor said
tastes
that?
disgusting. Emma Darcy, I think her name is.
Oh,
And, even back to Reese Witherspoon. Reese Witherspoon did a hilarious social video where she ordered one, and she talked about it, and she was like, "Oh, I ordered a Negroni Spagliato, whatever," and she takes a sip, and she's like, "Oh my god, this is disgusting." But this year, they've started gearing up their marketing for this show, and they did an interview with the other woman, I think it's Olivia, right, is her name? Olivia? She's from Ready Player One.
Mhm.
She did an interview about that moment and everyone was saying like, "Oh, what do you think about that moment that really took off?" Because it was everywhere. It was such a viral moment. She goes, "I can't get away from it." She's like, "I walk into a pub and someone will walk by me and go, 'Ooh, stunning.'" And she's like, "One little moment has monopolized my life." She's like, "My
Wow.
legacy of acting and all the
That's
work
how
that I've done."
it's
And
crazy how that happened.
she was like, I hate it." She used the F word. She was like, "I effing hate it." She was like, "It is the worst thing that's ever happened to me."
Wow. Well, I didn't know about it, so hopefully that fades over time. But like, Matt Smith, we had talked on the Resistance broadcast about how he was originally supposed to be a young Palpatine in Rise of Skywalker. He was
Mhm.
really great in this in season 1, and I expect his character to take it to a new level in season 2 because he plays the politics game in this too.
Mhm.
So I think
He's
and
creepy
yeah,
looking.
he's a menace. But yeah, Olivia Cook, gorgeous, by the way, also
Yes.
really good in this. So they have a really strong cast. So I'm
Yeah,
curious
she's
to
Ready
see where
Player
it takes
One.
them.
I liked her in Ready Player One.
Oh, right. Yep, yep, yep.
She's Artemis in Ready Player One.
All right, and then we have Wicked. So I'll
Yes,
hand this
I
off to
added
you
this to
because
the list.
yeah, I don't think this looks good, but
I have never been to the Broadway play, but, I am so excited for this movie because I like John Chu, who is the director of this film, and it stars Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. Um, but they honestly, I wasn't that pumped for this movie until they had a behind the scenes reel that they released this week
there you
before
go.
the trailer of the actors talking about getting to be a part of this film. And they had like their audition tapes in the reel. They talked about them getting them. They recorded them telling them they got the roles and they were all crying and they were like, "This has defined my life. This music means so much to me." How like over the top the movie is and the story it tells. It also stars Jonathan Bailey from Bridgerton, so that's kind of cool to see him kind of take his big step to the big screen as well. Um yeah, I mean Ariana Grande has completely changed her personality and everything about her for this role. She
And her
went
look,
from yeah, her look, everything has completely changed to play
man.
Glinda in this film. I can't wait to see it. It's coming out, I believe, in November, right? Around Christmas time.
Yeah,
And I think it's gonna make buckets of money because it's a big musical masterpiece,
it might be
and I
Thanksgiving weekend actually.
yeah, I think this is something that the movies have been missing. We haven't had a really good musical in a long time for the movies,
Which is funny because Joker 2
which is funny.
yeah, so Joker 2's coming out this fall too, which is also gonna be a musical.
Right. They're going
Yeah.
hard on the musicals. And I don't know if anybody's realized, musicals and rom-coms. There's nonstop rom-coms getting made and coming out, which I love
Those
because
aren't gonna stop because they're not as expensive to make, and
they're
they
not
make enough money to be profitable.
like Anyone But You, which made $220 million with Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell on a $30 million budget.
Well, she's so talented, though.
They basically gave her a blank check moving forward. They're like, you could do whatever you want.
I would do the exact same thing.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, last here. I mean, I'm not sitting here pretending I'm the biggest Dune fan.
I'm not. I have no idea what that movie's about.
Yeah, so this is gonna be a
Sorry.
this is gonna be a prequel series years before Timothy Chalamet's character. So sort of like House of the Dragon for Game of Thrones fans, but for Dune. So Dune is popular, so they are of course going to capitalize on that. And here we have a Dune prequel series coming out. Trailers out. I don't have much to say because I can't speak to it. I gotta give the Dune movies another whirl because everybody says how great they are. I fell asleep trying to watch the first one. So
I don't
I
like
know I'm
bugs,
rare.
and they have gigantic worms, so I'm not really
I
on
know
card.
I'm rare because I know how beautiful they are, and Denis Villeneuve is the genius. I completely understand that. Just
They seem
maybe,
hard to follow, and I'm gonna be honest, like, as a Star Wars fan, that sounds stupid for me to say, but they seem a little
yeah.
hard to follow. Same so do Game of Thrones movies or shows and stuff. It's
Oh,
hard for me to follow who's who and what's what, but
Game of Thrones
anyway,
is so
I
good.
probably
Oh
won't
my
be
god.
watching this Dune stuff, but John, what
Yeah.
are you watching?
We can never leave the house, and would just probably sit around all weekend and watch TV.
Go on.
What am I watching, Lacey? You tell me. Why don't you tell me what you're watching? So, as of now, we're using this segment to sort of be our end,
Mhm.
our cool down for the show.
Yeah. Yeah, wrap up.
But what are you watching? Because I did watch the first episode of Fallout.
Let's start with the stuff that neither of us are watching. Like, the other person hasn't watched it. So what did you watch that's not Fallout?
I watched Unfrosted. I watched the Jerry Seinfeld Pop-Tart movie, Unfrosted.
I'm sorry,
Um,
what is that? I have no idea what you're talking about.
So Jerry Seinfeld made a movie for Netflix called Unfrosted, which is about this fictional but sort of real, like this cereal wars about breakfast and like the race to become like create the breakfast pastry or whatever. And Kellogg's made the Pop-Tart. So it's this sort of exaggerated, cartoony version of that, where like the president of Quaker Oats shows up looking like the guy from the Quaker Oats, logo.
I've
What it's
never heard of this thing ever.
You never heard of Quaker Oats?
No, I'm saying this project you're describing
Oh,
sounds
it's
like
on
something you're
Netflix.
literally
It's a
just
Jerry
making up.
Seinfeld movie just came out on Netflix. Tons of stars in it. It's it's again one of those big cameo fests. One of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. And Seinfeld is my favorite show,
I know it.
comedy of all time. But I don't really like anything else Jerry Seinfeld has done. I don't think his stand-up is very good.
Can
I
you
thought
tell me the
Bean-
dumbest thing that happens in the movie? I know it's hard because you said the whole movie's dumb. Tell me the dumbest thing that happens in that movie.
I mean, you can pick a billion things. One is how he comes up with the idea for the Pop-Tart as he stumbles on these kids eating food in a garbage dump. And one kid's eating something with
What?
I swear to God. So one kid's eating like this plain pastry and this other kid's eating something with jelly and they accidentally like combine the two and Jerry
No.
takes it and eats it and he's like, I got it. The other dumb part is that they cast Amy Schumer in it. That was dumb.
Ugh.
The other dumb part is it's very silly. Like I said, the president of Quaker Oats shows up in a Quaker outfit, looks just like the guy in the Quaker Oats can. It's like they have it's like Willy Wonka. They have spies spying on each other's cereal, and
It sounds like a really bad SNL skit that like they did for 3 hours.
it's really bad. I don't know what else to say. And people are gonna say like, just I had fun with it. I just had fun with it. It's like fine, but I'm allowed to say that it's crap because it is. Like I love Seinfeld, my favorite show ever. But this movie that Jerry Seinfeld just made is crap. And just because Jerry Seinfeld made it, and there's this whole unwritten rule that everyone needs to tell Jerry Seinfeld that he's the greatest comedian of all time, should not allow us to have to suffer through Unfrosted. But I did, so you don't have to.
My
Unfrosted
favorite thing you just
stinks.
said was, "I just had fun with it. Just have fun with it." And you're like, "No, no, I will not have fun with
Yeah,
it."
have all the fun you want. I didn't have fun. And it's like whether and whether you watch this movie toasted or untoasted, Unfrosted is crap. And I give it, what's the worst Pop-Tart flavor?
Probably something with like blue raspberry cream or something like that.
Yeah, if they made a Pop-Tart with like
Garbage.
with sardines in it, that's what this movie is. That's what that flavor of that Pop-Tart would be. Awful.
Gross.
So that's what I'm watching that we haven't both watched.
Well, what I'm watching, which you will not watch, I asked you to, but you won't do it, is I'm watching Bridgerton season 3. So it's been 2
Mhm.
years since season 2. We've been waiting, Bridgerton fans, for the next season, and this
Mhm.
season has begun. I've watched the first episode and I loved it. I loved every minute of it. It's kicking off strong. Can't wait to see where it goes. There has been a lot of drama around the series because you have all these characters that have come in.
Is it a
w-
drama?
It's like, yeah, it's like a soap opera. Um, I would say it's interesting because the first season blew up. Like everybody loved the first season. It's all anybody talked about. Mostly because it has a lot of intimate scenes that people are like, "Oh my gosh, risque." It's from
What's it on?
Shonda. It's on Netflix. It's from Shonda Rhimes, who did Grey's Anatomy and a bunch of other different shows. It's like from her production company when they signed that big deal with Netflix. This was the main thing that she was gonna make. And the first season blew up. And then the second season, I loved the second season, but not everybody did, which the show centers around a family called the Bridgertons, and each season focuses on one of the children's love story. So the first season was the daughter Daphne's love story. The second season was the son Anthony's love story. And then this third season is the kind of fan favorite couple that everybody's been waiting to get together, which is Colin Bridgerton and Penelope, who is like this girl that's loved him her whole life, neighbor. And so the whole plot is basically like a love story for each season of how these people get together in London. And it's that era where like girls have to court men and men have to court women. And
Oh, it's like a period show?
yeah,
So it's like Pride and Prejudice, right?
yes, but you don't know what that is. So basically, and if you think he does, go back to the previous episode because you have no idea what you're talking about. But it's
I just
literally that. Yes.
I just
It
feel
is
like
that.
all these things take place in London in like 1750 or something.
I would say it probably like I'm not a historian, but I'm pretty sure it's called like the Regency era is what it's called. It's like,
Mhm.
kind of dresses and elaborate hair and all this stuff and corsets. And
Bustiers and the
yeah.
big poofy gowns.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so it's
Yeah.
like noble families that are basically trying to find their daughters a husband to then pay dowry and, you know, make heirs and stuff like that. But it's really good. It's a really good show. But
So
if you don't like that kind of stuff, you're not gonna like it.
for the sex scenes then, are they like taking off all these garments of clothing? And
Oh
they're just
yeah,
like,
they're naked.
but but is it like, oh, I gotta take the poofy part off, and then I gotta take the
Well,
wiring off, then I get
so these are based on novels. They're
Mhm,
romance books.
mhm.
So they're the typical romance novels, it's like, "Oh, I hate you too," and then they rip their clothes off, and then they're naked and they're getting it on. But, yeah,
Bridgerton.
this season supposedly has some of the best scenes yet. I've only got it through episode 1, which has already
Mm.
had at least 2 scenes in it, coming in hot. So I can't wait to see where it goes from here. But
A
yeah,
lot of Bridgerton babies coming in season 4.
we'll see. There's only been one so far. One baby from this first season. But
Nice.
we'll see how it goes. The other thing
Cool.
too that about the series is that they take a lot of popular songs right now, like Billie Eilish and stuff, and then they make like string quartet versions of those songs.
Ah,
So
yeah.
when they're at the ball scenes, they're playing hip songs of now, but it's in like classical, which is cool. I like it.
How does Texas Hold'em sound with a string quartet?
I haven't heard it yet. I don't know if they have it in there yet.
God, I hate that song. All
I
right.
know you do. Why do you hate that song so much?
I just don't can I be honest with you? Because we're at the hour and 20 mark,
Yeah.
so it's probably not as many people listening. It's a safer
Shut
space for me right now.
You're so ridiculous.
Beyonce's voice does something negative to my brain. That's the best way I could put it.
Okay.
That's it. That's it.
All right.
Anyway, then you add country to it. It's just like, oh.
I like country music. What did Fallout do to your brain?
Fallout did to my brain. I enjoyed it. I only saw the first episode so far. It's an hour and 10 minutes.
I'm 2 episodes in, so I'm 1
yeah.
episode ahead of you.
I got to watch the second episode, but I liked it. I don't know anything about the game, so I watched it with Kathleen, and we were both sort of like, "Wait, what is that? Who is that?" But I liked the 60s element, and then it flash forwards 200 something years, which means it's really 150 years after our time now, and I'm getting all that. But it has a uniqueness to it, and also like a little bit of a campiness to it. So far I'm digging it. I'm gonna move forward, and if I watch a pilot of a show and and it's a long episode and I want to continue, that's a good sign for me. So once I get out of the pilot, if I'm still interested, usually I keep going. And Walter Goggins is awesome, so I'm excited to see more of that character because we really only saw him at the beginning and the end.
Yeah.
But at the end I was like,
that beginning, right? You're watching it.
oh my god!
You're like, yeah, you're like, oh god, what's gonna happen to this guy?
Well, anytime I get into like a show or something like that, I think of like what would I do with my kids if we were in that situation,
Yeah.
So it's just but it's good. I enjoy it, so I look forward to continuing. So we'll talk more about that for sure.
Really quick for the people that are listening that don't know what we're talking about, Fallout is a series on Prime, and it is about basically a dystopian apocalyptic world after a big nuclear war. Like a bunch of bombs have been dropped, and it's America after that's happened. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, this is your show.
And is it like based on the game where sort of like I see people talking about The Last of Us, because I didn't play that. I don't really play games. But
So Last of Us, do you watch Last of Us?
I watched most of the first season, but it seems like it follows the games very directly, so people know what's going to happen. Is that the case with Fallout?
My understanding with Fallout is that there are Easter eggs for people that play the game, and there are story bits from the game that are coming in and out, but it's its own story. However, with Last of Us, that's literally following the game.
That's what I thought. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Which Last of Us is the disease one where mushroom fungus takes over and kills people but doesn't kill them. So it's a different type of apocalyptic world, but I don't know which one's better. Which one would you do? Would you do the fungus or would you do nuclear war?
Oh gosh, that's so depressing. I'd
Isn't
probably
that?
do
But
fungus, I guess.
that's a tough one. Fungus or nuclear war?
Fungus. I think.
I don't know. Because Fallout takes place in like the LA area. We're over in Connecticut.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's true.
we might last a little bit better. Whereas Connecticut's really wet. It can get really wet here in the spring.
We do. I get mushrooms popping up all the time in my yard.
I know. That's really dangerous for us.
Yeah.
I'd probably pick Fallout.
Yeah, maybe Fallout. How am I gonna go to sleep tonight? No, yeah, I'm excited to talk more about that and watch more of that show. So, anything else?
I like the music of the show, the old school music that
Oh
they play
yeah,
throughout the show.
I do too.
Very, very
It
cool.
is good. Yeah, it's well done. All right, so that's what we're watching. What are you watching? Let us know, because maybe there's something we haven't watched that we got to put on our list. But we hope you enjoyed this episode of Nerdy and Nice. Make sure you do follow the show. Of course, subscribe on your favorite podcast app. And then follow us on social media at Nerdy and Nice Pod across all the platforms. And spread the word, please. You know, if you have people that also love pop culture, new movies, new TV, all the stuff we're nerding out on, bring a friend, tell them about it, send a link, and let's grow this thing. We appreciate it. And of course, for those of you Star Wars fans, a lot of you probably came from listening to us on the Resistance broadcast. But if you haven't checked that out yet and you like Star Wars, or someone in your life does, the Resistance broadcast, weekly Star Wars podcast. We go live Thursday nights. During the upcoming show, The Acolyte, we're going to be going live on Wednesday nights, because that show comes out on Tuesday nights on Disney+. But also follow us on that feed for the Resistance broadcast across podcast platforms, and then at TRB Podcast on social media. Our Patreon, if you like what we're doing here at Nerdy and Nice and you want to support the show, go to patreon.com/TRB Podcasts. And we are just starting to we put our first mini episode out for Nerdy and Nice last week on our thoughts on the new Superman. And we got our thoughts from all of you. And that's another way to join the fun. So go to patreon.com/TRB Podcasts and sign up. Tier start at just $5, and then you get extra access to all the stuff we're doing for Nerdy and Nice and the Resistance broadcast. So it's the best time to sign up, and your support allows the two of us to do what we're doing. So thank you very much. Special shout out to the Generals and Spice Runners, the movie star Generals: Carmelo, John Reese, Jetta Rosewater, Frank Grande, Nick Kratz, Chris Morales, Brian Smith, Danny, Mike Ramori, Brendan McLaughlin, Sneaky Zebra, Dave Warnack, Jolton Jedi DiMaggio, and Colin Cormier, and the Silver Screen Spice Runners, David Probst, Neil Shaw, Kendall Gellner, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, and the Fort Worthian, and everybody who's just been checking out the show, listening. We hope you enjoy it. We want your feedback. We want you to spread the word. Thank you all so much. Johnny Hoey for me on social media, and my nostalgic movie podcast, Just Like the Movies, on your favorite podcast apps as well. And the Resistance broadcast, me and Lacey, Thursday nights right here on the channel and your favorite podcast app as well. Lacey, where can people hit you up about everything that we talked about?
I know, we talked about so much stuff. People could find me on social media at Lacey Gillerin, and on TikTok at It's Lacey Gillerin, and Nerdy and Nice Pod is now on TikTok as well. So please follow us there.
Baby.
We'll be putting up short videos throughout the week about our thoughts and to get your thoughts, and you could be featured on the show.
All right. Remember, Mondays are always for the nerds, now that you're with us here at Nerdy and Nice. And until next time, for me and Lacey, see you around.